The council chamber of the Valen Dominion was carved into black crystal, its vaulted ceiling glittering with faint pulses of bioluminescence. War banners hung between the crystalline pillars, each one bearing the scars of battles that had raged across stars. Seated in a crescent around the chamber were warriors, generals, and envoys, creatures bred for violence, armored in bone, scale, or steel. They were all predators, every one of them. Yet, when the human woman walked into the chamber, every warrior fell silent. Captain Elena Moreau was not imposing by any physical measure. Her frame was slight compared to the towering reptilian strategists of the Scarthak, and she lacked the glittering neural crown of the Mind Weavers. She wore no armor, only a simple dark uniform marked with the insignia of Earth's fledgling stellar alliance. By all appearances, she was the least threatening figure in the room. And yet, the air shifted with her arrival. The Dominion had demanded humanity's submission after a skirmish at the edge of neutral space. Dozens of human outposts had already been burned in warning strikes. The Council expected Earth to bend the knee, as so many others had. What they did not expect was her. "State your case, human," hissed Lord Valak, his serpentine form coiled upon the obsidian dais. His scales reflected the dim chamber light, his eyes glowing with the arrogance of an empire that had never known defeat. "Explain why we should not strip your species of its starfaring privileges and reduce your kind to labor drones." Elena didn't flinch. She didn't bow. She simply set a slim data slate on the table before her, its screen blank for now. "Because," she said, her voice calm, "you've misunderstood humanity's nature." A ripple of amusement ran through the gathered warlords. The Dominion thrived on intimidation. Most diplomats who entered this chamber trembled, begged, or offered tribute. Elena offered none of that. Instead, she pressed a control on the slate. A three-dimensional hologram unfolded in the air, records of Earth's wars, disasters, and struggles. Not just victories, but tragedies. Cities reduced to ash, oceans boiling under climate catastrophe, plagues that had nearly broken civilizations. And always, in the end, humans rebuilding. Crawling from ruins, refusing extinction. "This," she said, letting the imagery play across the chamber, "is what we are. You think we're fragile because our bones break and our flesh scars. But you don't understand. Hardship is our constant companion. Survival is our culture. You threaten us with destruction. That is not a threat. That is our origin." The chamber grew restless. Some of the warlords shifted, claws scraping against stone. Others frowned, unable to reconcile the quiet human's presence with the gravity of her words. Elena continued, her gaze steady, her voice sharper now. "You want slaves. We make terrible slaves. You want fear. We are the species that laughs in the dark. You want to break us." She leaned forward. "Every empire that tried has vanished into history's dust. We are still here." Lord Valak narrowed his eyes, his forked tongue flickering. "Are you threatening the Dominion, little human?" Elena smiled. It wasn't a warrior's grin. It wasn't even cruel. It was calm, like someone who had already run the calculation and found only one logical outcome. "No," she said softly. "I'm warning you." She tapped the slate again. This time the hologram shifted, images of Earth's newest warships, lumbering titans armed with weapons that gleamed with experimental energy signatures. But more chilling than the ships themselves were the faces projected alongside them. Men and women of every creed and nation, volunteers. Not conquerors, but people willing to fight, to die, and to rise again. Every one of those ships carries people who have already buried their children, lost their homes, or stood in fire and refused to fall. "You don't understand us." And that misunderstanding, she let the words hang like a blade above the chamber. "We'll end you, if you press this war." For a moment, silence dominated the room. The Dominion's warlords, beings who measured themselves by scars and conquest, realized something strange. This human woman had no claws, no fangs, no armor. Yet she stood before them unbowed, and every word she spoke bent the air tighter around their throats. Because the greatest threat in the chamber wasn't a warrior. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't even Earth itself. It was her.